You're listening to the Beer Craft Beer and Brewing Podcast. Tune in every Wednesday night at 6:30 Pacific for a dose of beer and brewing banter with your hosts, Ben Holm and Andrew Ziegler.
So hop aboard for some wit and wisdom in the Pacific Northwest, because it's always beer 30 on
The Beer Craft. Welcome to the Beer Craft Podcast, the show where we believe learning to brew should be just as much fun as drinking the beer that got you into this mess. I'm Ben.
And I'm Andrew.
And today we're taking you into the dark underbelly of homebrewing,
where bubbles can turn sour, batches go bad, and the only thing more toxic than your primary is the attitude of your yeast.
This episode, all about contamination, spoilage, that unholy off flavor that creeps in after you thought you did everything right.
A kettle left unwashed, a siphon tube with a dark past, a stir spoon that just looked clean.
When a beer gets infected, it's not just a tragedy, it's a crime scene.
And today, we're the detectives, the CSI of the beer craft, the Special Brewers Unit.
In this episode, we're going to examine the usual suspects, from the dreaded lactobacillus to the funky Brett who wasn't invited.
We'll interrogate your sanitation practices, line up the usual cleaners and sanitizers, and we'll try to crack the case of
the mystery infection. But before we dust for fingerprints on the fermenter,
it's time for our favorite part of the show.
It's Beer 30. Oh, man. Happy Wednesday, Andrew.
Oh, yeah. Here we are again, Ben.
Oh, man. We got beer. I raided the cellar today.
Oh, sounds great.
And pulled out of the time closet. We got the Founders Killer Breakfast Stout.
Now, Founders.
Ooh. Yeah. So this is one of like the top 5 best beers recommended by homebrewers. Founders Killer Breakfast Stout, 12 or 10%, I think we're clocking in today. This is actually one that's been in my cellar. This was bottled, September 2021.
Barrel aged.
Yeah, so extra old.
Brewed with chocolate and coffee.
Yeah, it's pretty tasty. You better pop the tops on those. I'm thirsty.
Let's go for it, Ben.
Well, you're pouring that. The second beer is another one, another big barrel aged. This is an ale song. It's the Rackhouse Reserve, blend of strong ales aged in Kentucky bourbon. So they did a couple of those. We'll talk about those. Oh, we have 2 of these. You'd pour whole ones.
I didn't know you wanted to drink that fast, Ben.
Well, we got to get, we might pour this for the rest of the show.
Okay, got it. Yeah. And we'll sip on the big boy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to sip on this
is going to be
KBS.
This is going to be a slippery, we're unpacking the slippery slope right now. 10% beer, 12% beer. We only have an hour show.
It almost doesn't pour out of the bottle.
It's inky, isn't it?
It's thick.
Yeah. Take some glory shots here for the socials.
All right.
Oh yeah,
that looks like a good.
Smells
beer.
Good.
Good aroma.
It does.
A little chocolatey
coffee,
aroma.
Kind of roasty.
I don't get too much coffee, but I'm really probably used to coffee a lot.
That's Washington.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty rich.
Rich, very rich. It's got that imperial, like, I don't know if you call it a bite or that little twinge of flavor.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, there's like a little extra
There's
twang.
Something. Yeah, right.
That's
when you
not
get
like
above 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you're suddenly picking a tune on a steel guitar.
Yeah,
kinda like
it's
twang.
almost like if you go overboard on your alcohol, it turns into kind of hot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to call it fusel, but you pick up on a high ABV, very hot beer. That may be what it is, but the roastiness,
still balanced out.
It's balanced with that. And that's when you get that flavor of that imperial stout when it's a great balance between that heavy alcohol and the heavy roast and body.
Yeah, I can see that. I've had some like 12% barrel aged like chocolate stout kind of things that like tasted like just like shitty whiskey. I mean, it was so alcoholic flavored and nasty. I was like, I got to pour that out. That's disgusting. I feel bad for paying $24 for that 22-ounce bottle.
Oh.
Kind of, it was a big disappointment.
Right.
Fortunately, I didn't pay for it. It was a Christmas present.
But you probably paid for the one you exchanged.
These ones I did. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it still costs you money.
Actually, that's where this one comes. The ale song we're drinking tonight was one of those
your
club gift exchange beers. So
the beer elephant.
Yeah, the white elephant beer exchange.
I like
which
that.
is a fantastic way to play the game. It's way better than fighting over. Well, just about everything else that ever goes.
You think if I started to join, and I could get some excitement behind changing the time or the day of the brew club meetings, homebrew.
Oh, the
club
regular
meetings?
club meetings, non-congruent with your current schedule.
Yeah, it's hard once you get into football time.
Right. Yeah.
That totally takes the Seahawks away.
Right.
I'm wearing Seahawks pants, by the way.
You are too.
Everybody can see it right now. Woo!
Yeah, I feel you. I did give up on watching football. I was like, oh, this is it takes too much time and like.
It's a lot of time, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time. When I first got back here from Mexico, I didn't have very much to do, nothing going on, and I was like, I'm not going to get cable. I'm not going to worry about watching football at the home, and I'll just go out. By the time I'm going out to the bar 3 nights a week, I mean, I'm spending $150 a week on when I have to go to the bar
just to watch football games.
Yeah, just to watch football game. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, bars really
and
expensive.
I have to get up and hopefully there's a seat, And then sometimes I don't get a seat. I'm like watching way over here.
Oh, the nights where you get a crick in your neck because you got to turn around, look around the corner of the bar to catch the screen. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Draft Picks is always busy too.
Yeah,
got to get there early. And I mean they're busy all day, all football day.
Yeah, if you did join, you would have at least a vote. To answer your question, you would have a vote.
I would have a vote.
You would have a vote. Yeah.
I would have a say.
You would.
Try to.
But then so would I, and Sunday is still a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
We would cancel each other out.
Right. Like it's a no vote. It's not going anywhere. More beer. Jesus. Good. It aged pretty well. I'm not sure the head retention was all that great when they were fresh. So I can't remember. This one, that's not why I'm drinking this beer. I'm not trying to get big fat rolling head on here. It's not the beer I'm after. This is 10%. It's really rich though. Like it's almost like dessert.
It is.
Yeah.
Low carbonation, so you're not going to have much head.
And that could be just the effects of age. It is 4 years old, sitting in my cellar.
Yeah.
Properly cellared at 55 degrees.
At temp, good.
At cold temp, basement temperatures.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have a basement.
I like mine.
I have a crawl space. Maybe I can convert it.
You could.
Convert it into a small kind of like an area.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do that.
I've seen some people do that.
That's a lot of work.
It's all work.
There's so much work around here.
It's all
I'm always talking about
it's all
work. What did I do this weekend?
Work?
Mow my lawn.
Yeah. Oh, it is that time of year.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
Good beer, man.
Saturday, I feel like I did some work on Saturday. And then Sunday I didn't do anything. It was Mother's Day Sunday. So I went out rock hounding.
Oh, very cool.
With some friends.
Sunday Mother's Day, I did have I did cook breakfast for. We did eggs Benedict for breakfast, my wife's favorite thing.
For the baby mama?
For my wife's favorite breakfast.
Nice, good for you.
And we'd grown a bunch of shallots last year, so I did a shallot tartatin for dinner, which is just sautéed shallots in balsamic with a puff pastry shell.
Oh, nice.
That was crack, is what that was.
Okay, now how big of a puff pastry shell do you use?
It covered my. It was like I had a 10-inch skillet.
Okay.
So I filled that with shallots. Yeah, it was like some recipe I saw on TikTok. Like 42 different TikTokers made that dish one month, and I it made me drool.
Okay.
So I had to make one, and
you had
it
the
turns out
shallots.
it's really fucking good.
Puff pastry? I love puff pastry.
Yeah.
And only shallots in there.
It was shallots, sautéed shallots, and then you take them out, and you do like balsamic, brown sugar, rosemary, and thyme. Cook that down, and butter until it's like glossy, shiny sauce. Then you put all the shallots back in, cut side down. and you cover it with puff pastry, throw it in a 475-degree oven, and you take it out, and it's all GBD on top. Flip it over, and it's onion pie.
Ooh,
Oh man, I think we used a Black Mission Fig balsamic vinegar from Anacortes Oil and Vinegar Bar.
Nice.
Not a sponsor of this show, just good friends of ours. And if you like olive oil and cool vinegars,
artisanal
oils and vinegars, head up to Anacortes Oil and Vinegar Bar.
Infused things.
They have all sorts of cool stuff. Yeah. They have really, really fantastic.
What is the name of it?
Anacortes Oil and Vinegar Bar.
Cool.
Down on Commercial, the north end. Fan-fucking-tastic. Love shopping there. I think most of my family just gets stuff from there. Like, I just go drop $500-600 on at the Oil and Vinegar Bar and here you go, have 10 tasty dinners. There you go. Yeah, just make everything like that. Dang, I'm looking at your glass. I'm realizing I drank my beer way faster than you did.
Okay, let me catch up. Hold on.
Good job. Yeah,
no, I don't
it's
think
only
I wanna catch that
10%. Like it's only 10%, and I've already. A good thing I ate lunch today. Jesus, that's gonna hit me. Because the next beer on the.
What'd you have for lunch? 2 beers?
I had 2
light
beers. I had very light beers. I had nachos, leftover nachos. So yeah, our youngest turned 13 yesterday. So
nice.
Yeah, we did a big family dinner. 20 people at our favorite cantina.
Yeah. The old the
the cantina formerly known as Mestizos. Now it's I think Hacienda Tequila is the name.
All right.
Though not all of the signage has been replaced yet.
Okay.
It's a work in
progress. But if you know,
yeah.
you know.
If you know, you know. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, so it was a good time. Had the full family, all the immediate family in the area, over for dinner for that. So that went well.
Probably filled up that back dining room.
We pretty much dominated that space.
Yeah.
It's one of the longer table setups we've had to put in, but it fit us all in just enough. So I had margaritas last night. That was great.
Same margaritas.
Yeah, Cadillac margaritas. Yeah, I really like those.
The old recipe.
Yeah, it was pretty close. There's been some modifications with new
a little bit less.
little with new ownership. Yeah.
Well, maybe
it's not as good. I mean,
you're not getting the special treatment. Maybe
probably I figured out how to make. I figured out how to make margaritas at home because it was slightly cheaper. But then again, we're drinking consuming a third of a bottle of tequila just to do that. But it's really strong, just how we like them.
Right. Well, I mean, I used to be take a 16-ouncer, you fill it with ice, you pour the tequila all the way up, almost to where your head would start on a good beer.
Oh yeah, half inch from the top kind of thing.
Yeah, and then you pour your mixer in on top of that.
It's very strong.
And you have 2 of those, and you're fine.
Absolutely, yeah, 2 of those would not. Yeah, that would concuss an elephant, I think, or inebriate an elephant. I do.
What are you calling me?
Just not a bad joke. I do. We'll do a pitcher of margarita at the house.
Memory.
We. I will do 8 ounces. So 8 ounces of lime juice, 12 ounces of tequila, 4 ounces of Grand Marnier or the orange liqueur.
Yep.
And then I'll do 8 ounces of, or actually 4 ounces of simple syrup, 4 ounces of orange juice, because I don't like them too. I don't like too sweet. I don't need that much damn sugar.
It's if it's a lot of the mix, then it's a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
If it's a less mix, then it's a little.
Well, it's fresh squeezed. I use fresh
squeeze,
no mix, just fresh squeezed lime. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So fresh squeezed lime is my go-to on that.
Yeah.
And that's 8 limes.
Right.
That's 2 of us having two big margaritas over dinner and that pitcher.
I'd go try all these mixes. You put the margarita mix in and whatever. The one that I like the best is the cheapest one out there. It's that fake electric green tasting stuff. It's no, that's my favorite margarita.
That's your go-to. Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, I'll drink a Cadillac, but
it's got to be fresh.
That's what I'll make at my house. Just the cheap pitcher, and I'll do the same thing in my pitcher. I'll fill the pitcher up with ice and pour it almost on the top. And when you use that cheap ass lime stuff, it works good. Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. Enough of the margarita talk. But I do want to make. I'll do one shout out from my side here for Skagit Valley Burger Express.
Oh yeah.
Best burger in the valley. I had one of those for lunch. Super good. And that gave me enough.
Spot.
That gave me enough substance to be able to solve a mystery. I think it's time to solve a mystery.
We got a little mystery, but before we crack the case, let's.
All right. Before we crack the case.
Yeah. But before we crack the case, let's lay out the facts. Because if you want to solve a mystery, you have to understand the motive. And in this business, the motive is always the same: bad sanitation.
Well, we've seen it all: gushers, sour mashups, the dreaded Band-Aid beer. Each one is a tragic tale of what happens when the basics get overlooked.
So before we bust this case wide open, we're going to take this last moment to refresh, fill our pint glasses, and we'll be right back.
In the craft beer system, the people are served by two but equally important groups: the brewers who make the beer and the bartenders who serve the pints. These are their stories, presented by Northwest Brewers Supply. You're handed a dusty bottle by a brewer with a tale as unique as the brew it holds. You never knew the challenges one man could face packaging his creation on a tailgate of a well-used Mazda pickup. Then you realize what awaits you at the bottom of the bottle is the essence of a man's journey. All started at Northwest Brewers Supply.
All right, coming back at you.
Oh, man.
That's a nice one, isn't it, Ben?
The ale, dude, that smells really good.
So we just poured the Ale Song Rack House Reserve. This is a blend of strong ales aged in Kentucky bourbon barrels. Man, it's a 500 liter. It's a little more than a pint. Dude, 13.7.
Yeah, it is. It is a blend of
A blend of the strong ales.
2023 vintage.
Nice.
Coming out of their Henry McKenna 10-year-old bourbons and the Elijah Craig 12-year-old bourbon cask that Ilsong had. Jesus, it's really...
Oh, my gosh.
Just
So
the aftertaste makes me drool. That's fuck. Ilsong, hey, I swallowed the beer and then I... and what was left was making me drool again, okay? Fuck, that's really good.
And it has that imperial bite that we were talking about, but this is not a stout, but it's still got that enough of that malt that it contributes to that that balance.
It's really tasty.
Freaking good.
Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah, it doesn't have the roastiness of the hop or the burnt or the coffee flavors, but it does have the maltiness and that backbone from the strong ales to back this up. Make at 13.7, and you can barely taste the alcohol in here. Wow. Oh my gosh.
A moment of silence while I drink this beer. Jesus. I know if I'm moaning in the background, that's not very silent. I recognize. I get thrown out of church for that too.
Well, let's get busy.
All right,
Let's
do this.
Get busy on our mystery.
Contamination is considered especially heinous in the brewing world. At Northwest Brewers Supply, the dedicated brewers who investigate these vicious infections are members of an elite squad known as the Special Brewers Unit. These are their stories.
Another batch gone sour. This infection's spreading faster than gossip at a homebrew club.
Looks like our perp got sloppy, left traces all over the tubing and fermenter.
Whoever did this clearly didn't follow basic sanitation purposes or practices or procedures gone bad. This wasn't an accident. This was negligence.
Then it's our part to clean this mess up once and for all.
It started like any other brew day, but ended in tragedy. A beer murdered by mysterious contamination. But what really happened here?
The yeast didn't stand a chance. The wort was clean, but the fermenter was compromised.
Well, that's Brewing 101. Clean gear equals clean beer. Skip it, and you're just fermenter failure.
It's not just about the taste. Contamination wrecks yeast health, ruins shelf life, and corrodes your reputation.
Well, we better get into the importance of cleanliness and sanitation.
So yeah,
and
that is...
clear this crime scene.
I recognize this is not the sexiest topic we could be picking here, but
Oh, I like the dating profile last episode.
that was pretty good. I like that. Cleaning and sanitation it's the number one thing you got to do.
Number one.
Preventing
before anything.
Yeah, prevents unwanted flavors, aromas. Contaminations is a booger. You know, it can rear its head in the most innocent of mistakes, all the way
number
to
of ways.
Clearly to clear negligence. You know, you're just asking for it.
And it can hide. It can hide in places you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do here is most of our job as brewers is prevention of these
Control.
things. Yeah.
Control.
We're mitigating for the things that we know can happen. We know them because they've happened for thousands of years to thousands of brewers, and we've all talked about it, and we've shared this information, and heaps of science that we've created about this has given us these cleaning and sanitation protocols. You know,
Yep.
Our job as brewers, we don't actually make beer. That's yeast job. We
Yep.
make wort. We want to make clean.
We facilitate the process.
Yeah, we're making a clean house for bugs, or not for bugs, for fungus.
they're bugs.
They're not bugs, they're fungus.
They're living.
Bugs are different.
Okay.
We're going to differentiate a
I
little bit.
guess.
Yeah.
Bugs versus fungus
Yeah.
is different genomes.
Exactly. Whole different branches of the family tree.
It is.
But our job is to ensure that their yeast health, we're supporting yeast health for consistent and reliable fermentation.
And
because
that means sanitation.
sanitation, kids. I get it. It's not a sexy topic, but we have to talk about
Yeah,
it.
it starts from your hands.
All the way down to the concrete you're standing on.
Yep.
For those of us who brew in the garage, it's a thing. We'll talk about that. We're going to cover. We're talking about maintaining your gear. We're talking about how to clean it, keep it in good working order. All of these things are going to make a difference in your brew house.
It does. Maintenance on your cleanliness prolongs the lifetime of your equipment.
Yeah, better bang for your buck for the gear you bought.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, it turns out like every bug on the block likes sugar, and that's what we've made. In fact, the whole universe operates on sugar. We eat food, it gets converted into sugar. We eat meat, it gets converted into sugar in the liver. The whole process that fuels everything you do every day,
Sugar.
fucking sugars. So it stands to reason that even the smallest, tiniest little microbes also in line for that sugar buffet.
Everybody likes the oses.
So there are super common infection vectors that are going to fuck up your beer. Probably the most common one, lactobacillus. I think lactobacillus is probably like one of it's at least in the top 10.
Ben, hold on. Wait a minute. Lactobacillus is an infection?
Lactobacillus in
Don't I add lactobacillus sometimes?
we can do it in a controlled
Don't we do
environment.
it? Okay.
But lactobacillus bacteria can lead to problems in your brew house if they're unintended.
If they're unintended.
It is the point I was trying to make
And
is
not used
lactobacillus
correctly.
is probably one of the more prevalent bacterial strains. Like it's probably in the top.
Easy
It's got to
to-
be in the top 10.
Yeah,
like
easily
everywhere. Yeah, your grains.
Contractable.
Your grains are covered in it. So if you're a brewer, you've already got it. You've already brought it in your brew house, and you've now fostered it in. If you don't follow sanitation protocols, you fostered an environment that promotes the growth of lactobacillus, that produces lactic acid.
Where do I store my grain?
Your grains are going to be stored separate from your brew house.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Perfect.
Yep.
Dry.
Keep them dry, yeah.
Dry.
Because when they get wet, that's
cool
going to
place.
keep the lactic acid bacteria. Warm and wet is everybody's favorite temperature, including lactic.
Now, this next one on our list,
Acetobacter.
Acetobacter. That's one I am not familiar with.
Acetobacter bacteria, it turns ethanol into acetic acid, which is vinegar, in the presence of oxygen. So also very, very common.
Now, apple cider vinegar,
Acetic acid.
acetic acid.
Yeah, the apple cider vinegar mother turned the cider, the alcoholic cider, into
acetic acid.
cider vinegar. Malt vinegar, same sort of thing.
deal.
Red wine vinegar.
So where does this Acetobacter come from?
Acetobacter bacteria is another one of the top, like it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, okay.
But it requires oxygen. So if we limit for oxygen, generally we're limiting for Acetobacter development. But that vinegar, we have a low threshold flavor tolerance for vinegar and for lactone. We've evolved to detect these things in small
they're not good
quantities.
for us.
Right, because it's a sign of it's a sign of spoilage.
Yes.
Right, so we evolved not to eat rotten food.
Right.
Like we can detect it, so we don't eat it. The next one on the list, Pediococcus. Now, this is one we control for in sour. If you watched our sour episode, we can control the space and place for Pediococcus. It does produce diacetyl, lactic acid. It is a complex flavor profile, but if that's not your jam, if that's not what you're doing, it's not
gonna be a
deliberate,
flaw.
you got a problem.
Yep, because it's not going to go with the beer you're making if you don't want to put it in the beer you're making.
Yeah. Same goes with Brett. If it is an unwanted, party, like it's the unscheduled threesome.
Right.
It's you and the yeast, and Brett shows up to ruin your party. That's no good.
And these guys will hide in tiny little crevices, survive in the littlest cracks.
Yep. So cleaning and sanitation is going to keep those guys at bay. You've also got molds in this category of infection process. Those are all sorts of surface molds that can funk your beer up.
If you leave your draining tube and forget to wash and sanitize it, you're going to leave it out for a night.
Yeah.
It's going to get moldy.
Quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, even like leaving your your hop bag hanging wet, or with stuff in there, it's going to be black mold tomorrow.
Oh, with stuff in there, yeah.
Yeah,
You got
for
to
sure.
clean it, sanitize it, and then let it dry.
Some of those molds can cause musty, earthy off flavors. Some of them
are potential health risks.
I don't know, but potential health risks is tough. Nothing that can survive an alcoholic fermentation can kill you or make you sick.
Right, but we got allergic reactions.
Absolutely, that's the whole thing. Here's a fun one: butyric acid.
Oh gosh,
butyric acid.
This is my worst.
This is probably like the.
Is it the worst?
It's in my oh God, to avoid. It's in the top spot for worst tasting things in a beer.
You remember we were talking. We've talked and discussed one of the sours that I tasted from somebody. I thought it was lacto, and they told me I'll put lacto in this. It was probably this. I
came across a butyric acid in the wild one time, and it was a sad day to have to. It was a sad day to have to spill the beans.
Brewing.
I recognize this flavor. I know exactly what this is.
Yeah,
it tastes like vomit.
I was very new.
Butyric acid has a distinct vomit flavor.
I was new again to the homebrew scene.
Yeah.
I was in the beginning.
So we talked about Brett. Butyric acid, solvent-like flavors. Some of those infections can cause some of these metallic, medicinal kind of flavors.
Be on that Band-Aidy kind of.
Some of those, yeah.
Kind of that band of.
Those are phenols.
Phenols and.
Yeah. Some of those can cause those kind of phenol reactions.
What am I gonna?
Not great.
What am I
and
gonna?
Of course,
how am I gonna get this solvent? Flaw. I don't remember what are the causes of it.
One of the big ones for a medicinal Band-Aidy kind of profile is it's actually chlorine. Chlorine reacting with the phenols creates chlorophenols, which chlorophenols are pretty nasty. They're heavily toxic, but they taste medicinally Band-Aidy nasty. Probably the easiest one you're going to come across.
So look for our previous episode on water.
Yeah. Last on that list, diacetyl. Dirty gear, buttery milk, buttery, shitty, crappy movie theater popcorn.
Yeah,
like not good movie theater, but crappy movie theater,
Like when you
but
go at
crappy.
10:30 at night.
Yeah.
They
Like
pop it at
it's
7.
garbage. It's kind of a buttery, milky. Certain bacteria produce it. Yeast can, wild yeast can produce it. It's pretty nasty.
We've got quite a
Dirty gear. Yeah.
quite a lineup to investigate.
We had 4 suspects, each claiming to clean up the mess. But could we trust them? It was time for a lineup.
Let's run the test panel. Each cleaner claims to get the job done, but which ones actually do?
OxyClean's good in a pinch, but if you don't rinse it right, you're inviting trouble.
PBW, gold standard. Safe, effective, even for the grimiest match done.
One Step walks the line, claims to sanitize, but it's a little more of a soft sell.
Craftmeister, though, that stuff cuts through the haze faster than a judge at a beer comp. Let's line these guys up. Number 1, step forward, OxyClean. You are similar to PBW. Thorough rinsing is required. You can leach into the materials, creating lasting flavors and aromas. Not good, number 1.
OxyClean, yeah, we're going to want to watch out for that one. If you're using OxyClean, watch out for the scented versions, because those can they can taint your shit.
Yeah, lavender.
Yeah, fuck that one. That one, you do not want your brew kettle smelling like old ladies.
Nope.
It's not a fucking thing, kids.
Come through for some of those lighter beers where you want the lavender flavor. Might be good.
I don't know about that. My wife's into lavender flavored shit. I think it all tastes like soap.
All right.
I'm not that guy.
Next guy up.
One Step.
One Step.
Yeah, One Step's in that list. It is a cleaner. This one is a hydrogen peroxide based. So it's still going to be using oxygen. It's kind of like it's a powder you're going to add to it.
Okay.
Hydrogen peroxide is technically a sanitizer. It does have
oxygen.
It's just not as strong. and if we leave it,
you have to leave it on there 2 minutes.
It's a no rinse. You leave it on contact 2 minutes. It is
Hold
neither.
on. If you don't rinse it, it would stay on there for longer than 2 minutes, technically.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about that, but yes, longer than 2 minutes, at least 2 minutes for
It's a little
efficacy.
confusing.
So these One Step, they're a okay cleaner and they're an okay sanitizer. Sometimes, the multi-tool is cool when that's the only thing you have. But if you had to rebuild your engine with a multi-tool,
it's not gonna work.
It's not great.
Right.
It's not great. You're not going to enjoy that process.
It'll
as
work
much.
for the generic stuff. Okay for most, but let's get specific.
Yeah.
We'll talk about next guy up is the PBW.
PBW, fan-fucking-tastic.
Alkaline cleanser.
Yeah. That alkaline, so
Safe on metals.
absolutely.
Rubber,
all your
tubing?
metals.
Your tubing too. All your beer tubing.
Yeah, and this one, so the alkaline nature is really good at breaking up organic compounds.
Right.
So you kind of just destroy the bonds that hold these things on.
With temperature. You have to heat this stuff up.
Yeah, I like a hot. You can do it at hot and cold versions. You just can't do both hot and cold. So if you go in hot, if you start hot, rinse hot. That's kind of a thing. So this is a rinse solution. You're not going to want to leave this one in contact, full time. So you're going to rinse it off. And if you started with hot water, you're going to rinse with hot water. If you start with cold water, you generally have to use more of the product to do the cold soak for efficacy. But you're going to rinse it with cold water. I have had doing a cold soak on a hot, if I did a hot soak and a cold rinse, you can actually have some solids precipitate and immediately bond to your gear.
Ooh.
And that's kind of problematic. So hot, start hot, stay hot.
What about cold?
Cold temperatures, start cold, stay cold. I've never tried to start cold, stay, rinse hot.
Rinse hot.
However, I've used this stuff cold and it's very effective. It'll descale your cast iron. If you had to strip your cast iron to bare metal because she was rusting or, your
that leaves an open canvas to season
to re-season.
skillet again.
Sometimes you might have a pan that you have to do that with.
Now, are
It's
we going
not
to do
great.
this with our brewing equipment? Stainless steel?
Stainless steel is completely effective on stainless steel. It'll break up those organic compounds. Usually, maybe some scorching in the bottom of your kettle. It's going to break those things.
And we won't have to pacify after all this.
No, because we're not scrubbing.
Good.
So acid, we're talking about passivization. That's reforming the chromium oxide layer, the 1 micron layer thick layer of chromium oxide that makes stainless steel stainless. Passivating is how you do that. So if we're not scrubbing our gear, we don't have to worry about that, which is pretty cool.
Good deal.
Craftmeister is
I've
in
not
this.
heard of
This one, it's a recent formula. Available in tablet forms. They have, keg cleaners. They've got some kettle cleaners. These ones in heads-up testing have been super fast. Like, the fastest to defunk the
Is it
grimiest
a
grime.
combination of some of these other
It's
guys?
another alkaline. It's got some oxygen components in there too. A little bit different formulary. This one also works on calcium. So, just cleaning with your other gear, like say PBW, OxyClean, or One Step, or those kind of products, you can get some calcium deposits on your stainless steel. Kind of looks like a hazy film, and it just won't scrub off. It's just calcium. Our water supply has got, even your soft water systems, you've got some calcium in there.
Yep.
Hard water systems have more. And so hot temperatures cause calcium to be precipitate out of the liquid phase into a solid and bond to stainless steel. Craftmeister can kind of break that up, leave your stainless steel shiny without impacting your chromium layer, which is kind of cool. It takes a little bit more of that product, say 1 to 2 ounces per gallon. Similar price points, maybe slightly more expensive than PBW.
Yeah.
Faster, and will deal with the calcium, which is kind of cool. But that's for, these are your cleaners. These are your visible soils. These are the kind
Clean
of
your kegs with them.
You can clean your kegs, your
Clean your
fermenters,
kettles,
all of your gear.
fermenters.
Yep. All of
All
them
your
in the lineup.
stainless, if you have tubing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All your tubing.
Yep. Pretty good stuff.
Man,
That's keeping it clean.
keeping it clean.
Got to do it.
Yep. And all these guys that we just listed are going to help you. Cleaning wasn't enough. To solve this case, we needed to sanitize, and sanitize fast.
The lab results are in. It doesn't look good. So sanitizers. Let's talk about it. There's a couple of different options available to us. Probably the first one it seems like a lot of the internet talks about first. Well, what about fucking bleach? And, like, we've got that. We use it for
has
everything
its
else.
purpose. Yep.
A couple ounces in a gallon of water. I can't remember the ratio. Man, it works in restaurants, works in hospital. Like, it works kind of everywhere.
Works in my
Bleach
kitchen.
is really good. It's a low cost
My brewery's kind
way
of a
to
kitchen.
destroy water, except it has a problem.
What's its problem?
You have to rinse this one thoroughly.
Oh my gosh.
If you don't, the chlorine left over in your vessel or your kettle, or even leftovers from rinsing a cleaner off,
With water. With
well,
bleach.
could be adding chlorine or chloramines, more
Yes.
importantly, into your beer. These guys, these chlorines and chloramines, react with the phenols produced by yeast to produce chlorophenols, which are toxic. Like, you don't want to drink this stuff. It makes for some fantastically awful flavors in your beer. We talked about kind of that Band-Aid-y profile too, medicinal. It's not great. There's some worse ones, like just really funktastic flavors.
And it doesn't do your metal any good either.
It has a tendency to cause stainless steel to pit, like get a little micro hole in there. That little micro hole can actually collect and harbor bacteria, and that's problematic. It'll wear out your material. You'll wear out your gear faster.
Right. So basically, don't use bleach with your brewing equipment. Any of it.
Not
Don't
a great
use it
idea.
on any of your brewing equipment.
In an emergency, like, you're not fucking things up, but you gotta rinse it really, really well.
Yeah.
rinse that shit off because a little goes a really long way in your beer.
I have a spray bottle with bleach in it, and I do my surfaces.
You might do your surfaces, your floor.
Yep.
Floor would be fantastic.
Handles, anything I touch, different things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the stuff that's going to touch your wort, I would not use that.
Yep.
Cleaning alone doesn't convict. You need sanitation to seal the deal.
Bleach gets results, but one wrong move and you're tainted your whole operation.
Iodofor's a quiet operator, effective. Watch that dilution, or you'll be scrubbing stains for weeks.
Yep. Now Star San, that's the real closer. In and out in 60 seconds, no trace and no flavor. And don't fear the foam.
SaniClean, the specialist. Draft lines, dispensing gear, pumps, and chillers. Removes the odors like a pro.
SaniClean sounds good.
So we mentioned bleach now, and now like Iodofor, I think, is next on
You
the
don't line
list.
these guys up?
It's still kind of
Bleach.
a lineup,
They'll throw bleach against a wall here.
Yeah, Iodofor is a little bit different. Iodine. We have been using iodine because it literally gets into cells, breaks them in half.
This is the
It's
guy
really,
I
really
started
good.
with.
Yeah, we all did. I mean,
Iodofor.
we've been using these in we still use these in surgeries because it is effective on contact for viruses, yeast, viruses, fungi, bacteria.
Can't overdo it.
You can though. Like so, Iodofor is
my tubing is stained.
iodine.
Never comes clean.
Iodine and
Clothing.
They add other stuff to iodine and then they call it Iodofor. Iodofor just means iodine with another molecule.
With an O4.
And it's in my notes and I can't find it just in front of me, but I wrote down what it was.
Dude, iodine will kill you.
In strong concentrations,
Yeah.
but we also need a little iodine.
You do need iodine.
They're if you're iodine deficient or allergic to
Just
shellfish,
clean your kettle
you need
with
some iodine.
clean your kettle with iodofor.
Iodofor is fantastic.
Contact?
Is really good. 1 to 2 minute contact time. You are going to want to let this one dry. So
Yes.
otherwise it's going to
Well, you're going to reintroduce other contamination if you get it.
if you do it wet,
with-
you can have
yeah,
some
more water.
some flavor
Rinse
development. Do let it dry. Watch your ratios though. If you get this one too strong, like if you mix up too much of this stuff in your
It's
solution,
nasty.
you're going to start staining your gear, especially if you have plastics. It bonds with your plastic.
Well, it's pretty much going to stain your plastic.
Yeah,
at low
it
doses
pretty much
as
low
well.
doses over time too.
Yeah.
I got to a point. Iodofor was fantastic. I know what it does. I can understand the mechanics of it. I got to a point where when I clean something, I liked it to look clean when I was
Right.
done, and that dingy orangey brown staining of Iodofor.
I started with iodofor and
Yeah.
it was fine for so long.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stand up next to the next guy.
God,
up.
Star San.
Star San.
You got two active ingredients in that one. You've
It's
got
a mixer. You got to mix it.
phosphoric acid,
Yep.
which is a food grade acid.
In Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, in Coca-Cola, we use it as an addition to wort to acidify our wort. We have a low flavor threshold for phosphoric acid, so we can be a little more. We can use a little more of it without, a little more liberal without lactic acid. We acidify with that, but we have a low flavor threshold, so we have to watch
when you use Star San, you need to pay attention to the ratio of the product.
You always going to follow those the packaging instructions.
Yeah.
There is another acid in there. It's in my notes here. Where did I put that? Dodecylbenzene sulfonic acid. And this is another registered disinfectant, food grade.
acid.
We're going to use this one. It's been in dairies for a long time now.
Does this have a name?
That is
Commercial
the.
name?
As far as like, does it have like a trademark name?
Yeah.
Not really. That I've
How am
seen.
I going to come
like,
into your store and order this?
You get Star San. It's got it in it.
Oh, Star San's got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This one, this disinfectant does break down in beer. So both phosphoric acid and the don't make me repeat it.
Don't make me
the don't make me repeat it. Azine acid breaks down in beer, so Star San is
So
tasteless,
dissipates.
it's odorless,
Yeah.
it's colorless. It will not impact your ferment, even a little leftover in the fermenter or splashing, or if your airlock sucking into your
beer.
ferment with full of Star San.
You never worry
does
about
nothing
anything.
to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Star San was my go-to.
Yeah, 1
for
minute
all of my
contact time.
sanitation
Yeah,
stuff.
I love it. 1 minute contact time. You don't have to rinse it off. You don't have to let it dry. So I feel wet. It's got a 1 to 2 minute contact time. And even if it's just, sanitize the bottle and set the bottle waiting for me to fill it,
Yep. That's what I do.
it's still wet, so it's still active.
Well, I'd clean my bottles, and a lot of times I'd clean them in the dishwasher, or I'd have a bottle brush, and then I have a bucket of Star San.
Yeah.
And you just bloop, bloop, bloop.
Fill it. Yep.
Dump it out, put it on the bottle tree, let it
And-
drain, and
It's still wet for over a minute before you fill it. So that is the way.
even if it's wet, you can fill it right away. Even if it has a little foam in the bottom of it.
You know what they
can
should have
fill
called?
it.
They should have called that product. They shouldn't have called it Star San. They should have called it
Foam sand?
Don't Fear the Foam.
Never fear the foam.
Yeah, tasteless, odorless, colorless.
Oh, and
it's
it's
great.
like rainbows. I love it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fantastic. It does have a cousin though. It's
Oh.
got a very similar cousin.
Tell me about that.
SaniClean.
SaniClean.
SaniClean
Okay.
it is a non-foaming surface sanitizer.
Yes.
This one has been developed for some of your
So this is
like
for CIP
hoses,
mostly.
CIP systems, where you can't see what's going on, like your chillers inside your chillers and hoses and stuff like
you have
that,
to
or
run,
pumps.
You have to run the CIP
Yep.
system, and you're doing a full clean on a enclosed system.
So we have to use more of this product. I think it's a 3 ounces to 5 gallon ratio versus say Star San, which is a 1 ounce to 5 gallon. So you got to use a little bit more of it. It also has a 3 minute contact time, which just means we have to run those CIP systems, longer. But it doesn't foam up, and this is great
Right.
when you're like your pumps and your chillers.
Yeah,
you know,
your
places
pump is
with
gonna
tight
not
corners
pump-
you can't,
pump foam.
where you don't want gas-filled bubbles blocking
Right.
liquid touching surfaces.
Right. Let's say you have a 2-barrel system or something. In your
or even a
CIP
plate chiller
and your
or a
CIP
March
in-
pump on your system,
Yeah.
or any pump on like your Anvil or Grainfather. In a place you can't see things, if you're not running boiling liquid through those, SaniClean would be your buddy.
SaniClean's nice.
Yeah. For those hard to reach, can't see it places. Because if Star San foams up and it goes through, say, your tight channels in your pump or your chiller, the gases are going to flow to the top of your device, and then the sanitizing liquid doesn't really get to the surface because it's blocked by a bubble of gas. You can think of it as like a gas barrier. And so your surface doesn't stay wet for a minute, which means it's not effective at anything that was hiding in the corner.
Yeah.
So pumps, chillers,
I think it
hard to
all
reach
there.
places. SaniClean's going to be your buddy if you're not boiling through,
Well,
boiling
it seems like we've got a good lineup here of kind of short to tall. I mean, usually we try to mess up the lineup so we can't tell who's who. But anywhere from bleach to iodophore to Star San to SaniClean, I can tell the difference between all of these guys. And
Just in usage.
there's a height difference, obviously.
Yeah.
Tracing the infection, we followed the clues, and they led straight to contamination ground zero. You see that valve? Never broken down. It's a biofilm party in there.
That thing's harboring more bacteria than a frat house fridge. That thing oozed out like a 2-inch long living booger.
They thought rinsing was enough. Didn't even hit it with sanitizer. That's a rookie move.
That wasn't an infection. That was an open invitation. So these infections, we're talking about how to manage them, but if you get one, where are you gonna look for that?
You got to trace it down.
You
You've got
gotta trace it down.
spigots,
So
valves.
there's a couple of there's some commonly overlooked areas. You're gonna want to look at spigots and valve, particularly your plastic spigots. A lot of those are just a friction sort of fit valve. You rotate a barrel to line up the holes so that the beer will flow through them, and it's just sort of held in there with friction. Well, water and liquids, they have a sneaky habit of sneaking around uphill, around corners and tight places. It's called capillary action. It's the same way we can have an oil lamp burning. It's literally sucking liquid
Sucking the oil up to
the
the wick.
through the wick. So your roof, rainwater will wick uphill on a poorly maintained roof.
Yep.
The same thing's happening in that
There's
spigot.
a right substrate there.
So if it's very
It'll go
old,
right through there.
yeah, if it's a very old plastic spigot, you could have contaminated wort growing fantastic creatures around the bend. Your ball valves, taking those apart periodically. I pulled one of mine apart and it had a slug in it.
Yep.
Right around the Teflon coating, the cases, that little ball joint in there. I mean, it was pretty nasty. So you got to take these things apart once in a while. Hoses, gaskets, old gear. Oh my God, old gear.
Like what? Old
Like
gear?
like if you've had the same fermentation bucket for 10 plus years or something,
yeah.
and it's full of scratches and
Yeah.
shit just from
There's going to be
wear
some
and tear.
nasty stuff in there.
There are strains of bacteria that can settle into those grooves, those little scratches, and they can actually
They
desiccate. Yeah, they can desiccate their cell, dry out, and they can, once in that dry, like dormant state, nothing touches it. Nothing can get through that barrier, and they can also they're mean.
And they can last.
They last for a while, and they can also tell the relative food concentration outside that barrier, which means if you put your sanitizing solution in the bucket.
It's got
And
a
there's
high
no
pH.
sugar, with no sugar in there.
My casing ain't coming off. I'm hanging out in my shell.
Until you put wort in there.
Ooh, there's some food.
Done.
Oh, sugar.
Yeah.
Just like we've been talking about all night.
Every bug in the block.
Bacteria loves
Bacteria are also
sugar.
a lower order, or they're a simpler creature, compared to fungus. They're both unicellular. Bacteria are really small and simple, which means they multiply on average 4 times faster than yeast as well. So now you've got a colony forming unit, and that's what's going to cause problems in your brew house.
Yeah, and once you have a colony, you could be done. I mean, your wort chiller.
Yeah, you got to check all these places. All these places you cannot see. Rule number 1, kids, it's clean and sanitize. Rule number 2 is clean it and sanitize it. And I know that's repeating myself, but this is one of those
rules.
It's probably cleaning and sanitizing. Yeah. I think everybody gets a point at that point. I remember I got a call from a guy, and he was saying, I think I got something fucked up in my beer. Like, I keep having this problem. He's like, well, I coach him and counsel him on, you got to turn over every stone, look under every rock, look at all the places and spaces and places your infection could lie, like your gaskets and your hoses and your chillers and your valves and your stuff.
And you can trace it down.
Yeah. Well, it turns out this guy he was doing a CIP system on his like 10 gallon conical fermenter, but he never took the lid off and never did a visual inspection that his CIP had done.
Wow.
So whatever he had done, the entire lid of his fermenter was nasty,
because it didn't have
and
the
the beers.
shooting
Yeah,
up to the
God,
lid.
and the beer, the infection, like the surface of this beer, it was terrible. I tried to find the picture of it. Yeah, I tried to find the picture of it today. But if you can imagine like 4-inch tall ribbons of purple and green, or pink and green and black, waves
hanging
just
from
like on the surface of their fermenter, and it's just kind of this like
hanging from the lid.
Oh, dude, it was like all over the surface, and just these like weird like crusty wave formations. Absolutely,
And he wasn't.
So I
getting it
think you
cleaned?
have a problem in your system
Hey,
there.
never opened.
Yeah.
How big was his fermenter?
It was a 10-barrel fermenter.
10-barrel fermenter?
And in trusting the CIP system to do its job,
You can't trust that.
there were clearly things going wrong.
You have to open everything.
Yeah. Good
So
news.
that's a good lesson to learn, everybody.
Good news. You got it cleaned up.
Open
Yeah.
up your equipment and look in. Inspection is key as well. Inspection is second to sanitation.
Yeah, because I think one of the biggest one is that there's a lot of people who just use sanitizer
that
as a
doesn't work.
cleaner. It doesn't work.
Right.
It's not even it doesn't do that job.
You have to have a caustic acid clean.
Caustic or oxygen based, or so caustic's just going to be lowering the pH, so that does a fine job. Oxygen will actually like lift materia off of the surface and float it out of there. Those sorts of things for visible soils and solids. Cleaning is for visible soils and solids. Sanitizing is for everybody else you can't see. If you just use a sanitizer to clean, all you've really done is polish
the surface,
turds, right? It's still a turd underneath. It's just shinier on top. That's really what that is.
Got to get the gunk out.
Contamination is relentless, but vigilance pays off. This case was closed, but our fight against infection never ends. So what can you do? Here are our quick sanitation success tips. Remove the visible debris with an appropriate cleanser. Don't use abrasives. Don't use abrasives on plastic. Oh, you know that little Brillo pad that's on the backside of so many sponges in your kitchen?
Even though that's plastic,
so don't use that thing. So, but that Brillo pad, they actually make those in like 60 and 80 grit and 120 grit varietals. You can sand wood with those things. Like it's not sanding because there's no sand, but you can smooth out wood with one of those Brillo pads. Imagine what it's going to do to your plastic. So don't use the abrasives. Don't use anything.
Don't sand your plastic.
Hell, your fingernails rated harder than most of the HDPE plastics out there. So watch out.
Right.
Give it a good soak. But so when you do, give it a good soak. Let the products do their job. Right. Don't be a big rush. It's an empty fermenter. You've got the beer out of there. You're fine.
The timelines are going to be on all the product lines.
Choose your sanitizer and follow the protocols. That means like read the label, check out the mixing dosage, because if you fuck that up, you could be adding problems to your, problems downstream. So don't do that.
You can have residues and different things like that.
Sanitize everything, including your surfaces. I think we touched on
Yeah, we did.
Yep. If I had I brewed on a lot of like plywood benches, tops, or something. It's hard to sanitize those, so I've put down like a sheet tray, sanitized sheet tray, and that's now my working surface.
There you go.
Everything. I have a nice sanitized spice to put a spoon.
A sheet of RFP fiberglass reinforced plastic for $30
for 8x10, 4x8.
It's probably more than that.
Oh, nowadays,
It's $48 for 4x8.
So sanitize everything. Use designated tools. Not something, this is where, these are not tools you weed the garden with or pick up dog mess in the yard. These are dedicated brewing gear.
You're going to need an assortment of brushes. Yeah. You're going to need brushes for your lines. Brushes.
I don't use brushes on my lines.
You don't?
No, because the nylon brush is actually harder than the hoses, the vinyl hose, so it can scratch my hoses. I use brushes for like my dip tube on my keg where it's stainless steel.
How long do you use your hoses?
My hoses probably if it's in good working order, probably like I consider them like my beer line every 2 years. Probably gonna swap that. Yeah, swap those out. But they're easy to visually inspect. They're clear. They turn gray.
I think I replaced my hoses before 2 years.
Yeah. Let's see. Designated tools. We talked about that.
Yep. Label products.
Mm-hmm.
Label it.
Don't want to mix.
So Star Sand versus iodophore.
You don't want to mix you don't want to mix chemicals up. You don't know how things are going to react. Like
Acids.
classic vinegar and bleach and ammonia.
All your chemicals are going to have the MSDS on there, so you will see if it's caustic or.
But if you label the bottle,
label it, please,
and don't mix them, you're going to be fine.
You can go online and buy MSDS sticker labels.
Sure.
I mean, if that's your game.
MSDS, that stands for Material Safety Data Sheet, and oftentimes when you're dealing with this stuff in commercial applications, you're going to have to know the protocols, and you're going to want to be aware of these things because, bad shit happens. That's why they say don't pick up the lawnmower while it's running.
That's right.
Bad shit can happen.
Whenever you go pick up some of these chemicals, you need to get that little flammable sign and put on the back of your car so everybody knows you're transporting it.
It's interesting on the MSDS, the Star Sand no longer ships from Amazon,
right?
Because in Washington, it requires a commercial driver's license to ship acids. It's because it's considered corrosive,
right?
So don't touch it.
It is. It's not good for you.
So you have to have a commercial driver's license to transfer that. Well, Amazon's not paying their fleet of drivers that
CDLs.
to get them CDLs. So it's just regular driver's license,
Well,
which
there you
means in
go.
Washington you can't get that. But don't worry, I can get it anywhere you want it.
There we go.
And I can do that at Northwest Brewers.
Please visit our sponsor for your Star Sand needs.
Here's a fun one I came across: sealing your concrete. If you're brewing out in your garage,
Fantastic idea.
concrete's porous. So
It
if you
is.
get beer, if you start spilling beer or wort down, in your concrete in your
Sugars?
brew house,
If I start spilling sugar all over my floor every week,
you could be inviting contamination vectors into your brew house.
now I'm stepping on it. Now I'm going into my bedroom. Now Mama's mad at me.
Now Mama's mad. Yeah, for sure. So you can seal that. That's a thing you can do.
So stay clean out there. Justice means never tasting funky beer again.
Beer justice. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to sanitize it.